Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. If you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, what the heck are you waiting for? At down there below, at MitchellRenz365. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down some trade targets. So what I try to do is find 6 players that I believe the Silver and Black could be interested in this offseason. I also sprinkled in 5 other guys to at least keep in mind. Now, the first player coming up here is Andre Dillard, the offensive tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a first-round pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. The other reason why you're going to see a lot of these guys, either 1 year left on their deal, not being used the right way, or their teams have to probably get rid of them to save some money. The Raiders will owe him only $2.2 million in 2022, and I get it. This guy is a left tackle. However, 2 years ago, he also played a few snaps at right tackle. Andre wants to be a player. He wants to get on the field. He played in only 8 games last season. And Philadelphia, they need to get rid of him. If you're telling me right now I give up a 3rd, maybe a 4th round pick, throw Dillard over on the right side, I actually like the idea of doing that. Now, last season, according to PFF, he played in 340 snaps. His overall grade was 69.6. A pass blocking grade of 71.7, a run blocking grade of 65.4. Also, every single name you're going to see has been linked in somewhat or another of a trade rumor, so these are realistic candidates. And when you look at the Raiders' offensive line depth chart, Brandon Parker, free agent. Jermaine Illuminor, free agent. The Raiders need to be able to find somebody on the right side of the offensive line. I like this move in terms of upside. I like this move of really helping also Alex Leatherwood try to grow. So if the Raiders want to go out and get a cheaper right tackle, you only have to pay him $2.2 million. Andre Dillard of the Philadelphia Eagles is definitely somebody to keep in mind. If the Raiders go ahead and make a trade, you know what I'm going to say. We're going to be making a video here on the Raiders Report. So if you bleed silver and black, if you shout out womb to the tomb, if you're a diehard Raider fan, subscribe here. There's a reason why we have close to 109,000 subs. There's a reason why we're the #1 most watched Raiders show in the world. It's because we keep you guys up to date, and I'm dedicated to my craft. So hit that sub button, turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. Let's go to a wide receiver here for the Atlanta Falcons. It's Calvin Ridley. Ridley has already mentioned that he wants to be traded out of Atlanta. He's also entering the last year of his rookie deal. Now, the Raiders would owe him $11.1 million in 2022, which might seem like a lot of money, but this guy was a first-round pick out of Alabama, 26th overall. He went to the Atlanta Falcons, and the numbers I'm about to show you, they're not great. It's because he took most of the year off, played in only 5 games. He said he needed to just get his mental state right? So he had 31 catches, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. But this isn't the numbers that I want you to think of when you think of Calvin Ridley, because when Ridley plays, he's one of the best receivers in the league. In 2020, he had 90 catches, 1,374 yards, 9 touchdowns. If I see anybody say, oh, I don't want any more Alabama receivers, I'm going to say shut it. In 2019, 63 catches, 866 yards, 7 touchdowns. 2018, 821 yards, 10 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley, whether it was at Alabama, whether it was with the Atlanta Falcons, you know what he could do? Find the end zone. You know what the Raiders need at wide receiver and to do better? Find the end zone. Zay Jones, free agent. Deshaun Jackson, free agent. You cannot go into the season with Bryan Edwards as your wide receiver too. So trade a few picks. I'd say you could probably get Ridley for a 2nd round pick right now from the Atlanta Falcons. Honestly, y'all, I would definitely consider it. If you don't want to give up a 2nd round pick for Ridley, personally, I think you can go out and get Brandin Cooks for a 3rd, because Houston, they're trying to get rid of some pieces. Brandin Cooks played with the New England Patriots in 2017. He's already been traded a few times as well, entering the last year of his current contract with Houston. And if the Raiders were to go out and trade for Cooks, his contract, you would owe him $13.7 million, $12.5 due to base, and then he's got a few extra bonuses tapped in. So $13.7 million for Brandin Cooks, a guy coming off 90 catches, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, with Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor, and I don't even know who else played quarterback for the Houston Texans. The thing that I love about Cooks is this. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Jared Goff, Davis Mills, Deshaun Watson. This guy puts up numbers. And what's the one thing that the Raiders really missed from not having Henry Ruggs? Somebody who can stretch the field. The year where he averaged the most yards per catch was actually in 2017. With who? Josh McDaniels and the New England Patriots. He averaged 16.6 yards per catch this season. So if you're telling me right now $13.7 million for Brandin Cooks, give up a third-round pick, would you be interested? Your answer should probably be yes. So the two receivers that I just talked about, if you can only trade for one, who would it be? Calvin Ridley, you're paying him $11.1 million. Let's say you got to give up a second-round pick for him, or a third-round pick, but you got to pay Brandin Cooks $13.7 million. So type CR for Calvin Ridley or BC for Brandin Cooks. Let's go to the defensive side of the football now, and this is a name that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, but I love Michael Pierce, the defensive tackle of the Minnesota Vikings. This is a big, big boy. He played DT for the Ravens, and he played DT for the Vikings. The new Raiders running back coach spent a lot of time with Pierce in Minnesota. Also, remember, the Raiders just hired Ryan, who was with, where? The Baltimore Ravens, so there's some connections there as well. Pierce does have 2 years left on his current deal, and if the Raiders were to go out and make this move, they'd owe him $8.5 million in 2022, $9.5 million in 2023, so 2 years at $18 million. I love this move a lot because he's a big guy at 6 foot, 340 pounds. You could put him in the middle of our new 3-4 defensive scheme. Sure, when you look at a number standpoint, 20 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in 2021, might not be all that impressive, but I promise you this, Michael Pierce is legit, and this guy could also actually end up getting cut. Why? Minnesota doesn't have a lot of money, and if Kirk Cousins doesn't want to take less money, then they might be willing to say, okay, well, if we're going to cut him anyway, you can trade Michael Pierce for 4th-round pick. Dude, where the hell do I sign up for that? When you look at some of these numbers here, a lot of tackles, I'm not really as worried about sacks. I want a guy in the middle who is going to really open things up, because if I can get Max Crosby or Yannick Ngakoue one-on-one, yeah, we're going to absolutely feast. Now, if you're curious how he did from a PFF standpoint, I decided to throw in some grades here. I should also mention, he did not play in 2020. He decided to opt out because of COVID. But in 78.5 overall grade, it's pretty good. 69.2, so if you're telling me the worst year he's ever had was a 69.2 over the last 5, Michael Pierce is a legit defensive tackle that the Raiders should absolutely be interested in. Also, the DTs in free agency, y'all, they're not great. I wasn't really sold on any of the big-time DTs. If you're not 100% sure if you're going to go out and get somebody like Jordan Davis, maybe he doesn't float at 22. You got Hankins, Quentin Jefferson, Gerald McCoy, Solomon Thomas, Darius Philon, 5 DTs that are about to enter free agency. You might have to make a move. So all I'm saying is this. You heard Michael Pierce of the Raiders here first. Now, if you guys love the content that I make here on the Raiders Report, I make a lot of other content as well here at Chat Sports. And in fact, I was live on Chat Sports yesterday. I make videos almost every single day for our main YouTube channel, and we're getting close to 280,000 subs. So if you want more video, or no, we crossed 280,000. We crossed 280,000 subs. So if you want more NFL videos from me and the rest of the Chat Sports gang, go ahead and subscribe. The link is below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. What you see on screen are just some of the videos that we've made in the last week. The USFL, we got the teams, we got the logos, all the good stuff. Here's a live show that I did last Wednesday, a McShay mock draft and some Watson trade rumors. What about a PFF mock draft reaction? I did this yesterday. PFF had a Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and a Derek Carr trade, so if you want to go check that out, it's on the channel. And I made this video about 2 weeks ago, so if you want to see 15 star players that I believe could be traded this offseason, it's just another reason to go ahead and subscribe. The Raiders Report is made possible by Chat Sports, so all I could say is, hey, go support our channel. It helps me out as well. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. That link is available for you all in the comments and in the description of today's video. Let's stick here on the defensive side of the football. I'm going to go Giants cornerback James Bradberry. He played pretty well in Patrick Graham's defense the past 2 seasons. Another dude that has 1 year left on his current deal, and if the Raiders were to go out and trade for Bradberry, they would owe him $13.5 million. The fact that the Giants don't have their same DC, the fact that they have a new head coach, when that happens, you see guys that are making, top 10 at their position, you could see them actually going out the door. So let's say if the Giants have Bradberry, and I talked to Marshall Green, he runs our Giants channel, he's a cap cut candidate. If the Giants plan on actually moving on from Bradberry and cutting him, What if the Raiders are like, hey, man, before you cut him, we'll give you a 4th, maybe a 5th-round pick for Bradberry, and then you can go out and get the dude. Last season, 47 tackles, 4 interceptions, 17 pass breakups. It's pretty good numbers. And also, Bradberry was one of the best corners in all of football just a few years ago. I mean, last 2 seasons with the Giants, pretty solid numbers, right? 17 pass breakups, 18 pass breakups. This guy's had at least 3 interceptions the past 3 seasons. And then his first 3 years in the league with Carolina, again, this dude came right into it, was ready to rock and roll, and quickly was one of the best corners in all of football. Then when you look at the Raiders' cornerback depth chart, you need to be able to find somebody that can plug in for Casey Hayward, because I'm sorry, he's not going to come back. He was a Gus Bradley guy. I do not see Hayward end up coming back, and you cannot go into the season with Trayvon Mullen as your top corner. I'm sorry, he's built to be a cornerback too. He cannot be a top corner in the National Football League. So I just talked about 2 defensive players, James Bradberry and Michael Pierce. Let's just hypothetically say that you can only go out and trade for one. Would you trade for James Bradberry, one of the top corners in the NFL, type JB? Or would you go out and trade for one of the top defensive tackles in the league, and Michael Pierce, type MP? The final name here on my trade candidate show is Chase Winovich. Why? Of his connections with the New England Patriots. And you're just seeing a guy who just didn't fit well last season. It's because of all the moves New England made. I do still think, though, he has some talent. He played only 105 snaps last year after his first 2 years in the league. This guy had 11 combined sacks. You would only owe him $965K in 2022, and there's just certain dudes where he just finds himself around the football. He's got some Michigan connection, 6'3", 250 pounds. He could be an extra edge rusher. All I'm saying is that if right now, if New England was like, hey, we'll trade you Chase Winovich for Cleveland Ferrell straight up, and be like, yep, tell me where do I sign? Now, when you look at some of these numbers here, his first 2 years in the NFL, 5.5 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 10 quarterback hits. The fact that you could probably get him for a 7th rounder, maybe a 6th round pick, is something that I would at least keep in mind. Now, he's not going to come in and break any walls down, but it's just some extra depth at the position. When you look at the Raiders' defensive end depth chart, you got Crosby, you got Gakwe. Those are your top 2 guys. Cleveland Ferrell, don't have a lot of confidence in him. I do have confidence in Malcolm Kuntz. Carl Nassib's only got 1 year left on his deal. Again, I am simply just trying to find a player who I think could be on the trade block, who I have some value in, and you could get at a decent price. So what you guys just saw are 6 players. Now it's your opportunity. Name a player the Raiders should try to trade for in 2022. If I missed the name, hey, go ahead and let me know. I know there's a lot of names out there. Now, some of y'all are like, well, what about the quarterback position? I didn't put any quarterbacks in the show because the Raiders are very unlikely to trade Carr. In fact, I think the only way that they do it is if DC asks for way too much money, or if you can upgrade at the quarterback position. Now, 4 quarterbacks that I'd say, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the Raiders are like, all right, we don't want to pay Carr. We want to go pay a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Those are the 3 upgrades. The only other reason why Jimmy Garoppolo is on screen is because I see the San Francisco 49ers moving on from him. I see them trading him, and there's the obvious connection with Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels. But again, I do not see a trade with a quarterback happening. Before I break down some more franchise tag, or so I guess I should say, before I break down more trade targets, and these guys are going to be franchise tag and trade, remember, you can always hit me up on IG at MitchellRenz365, keeping you guys up to date, news and rumors. Now, in terms of 2 candidates, okay, these 2 players right here are about to become free agents, Davante Adams and J.C. Jackson. But when I think about, okay, who are some players that if they get franchise tag, could the Raiders have interest in? These are the only 2 names that came to my mind. Davante Adams, he would probably be, it's probably 2 first-round picks if I'm being real with y'all. And then J.C. Jackson, one of the top cornerbacks in all of football right now. 17 picks the past 2 seasons. So if these 2 guys get tagged, then these are the only 2 tag and trade candidates that I think the Raiders have in mind. So one more time, guys, let's walk through these 6 names of the most likely players that I think the Raiders go out and try to target in a trade. Andre Dillard, Calvin Ridley, Brandin Cooks, and then you got James Bradberry of the Giants, Michael Pierce of the Minnesota Vikings, and Chase Winovich, an edge rusher for the New England Patriots. If I forgot anybody, please let me know. And if you made it this far in the video, hey, why don't you go ahead and smash that like button.